Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the new Chrome Tour golf ball from Callaway.
Welcome to Golf Central on a Tuesday. Damon Hack joined by Paige Mackenzie. And Paige, another busy and important week in the game as we get closer and closer to the Ryder Cup. What's on your mind on this Tuesday?
Everything just feels a little different in a Ryder Cup year. I feel like it's similar in when we talk about Olympic year, where it's qualifying, it's extra anxiety. And now as we ramp up just a week away from Bethpage, you start to feel that. How are these teams going to come together? And we get a chance to see a lot of them in action this week.
Well, Paige, how about this scene on the 72nd hole on Sunday in the Irish Open? I know you were watching. Rory McIlroy putting for eagle from 28 feet, drains it. And the reaction from the Irish crowd as their hero forces a playoff. Rory would seal the victory with a birdie on the third hole of the playoffs to secure his second win in the Irish Open. Incredible scenes in what's been a year that you'll never forget. Historic, unforgettable, bountiful. You choose the adjective. Pebble Beach win, Players win, Masters win, and a second win in the Irish Open. Now, Rory continues his season this week with another Rolex Series event as the DP World Tour moves from Ireland to England. BMW PGA Championship, the DP World Tour's flagship event, is at Wentworth this week. Live first-round coverage coming your way this Thursday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on Golf Channel. Fantastic field, as you would imagine. Matt Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood. Defending champ is Billy Horschel. You got Siwoo Kim, Brooks Koepka, Shane Lowry, Bobby McIntyre, Hideki Matsuyama, Rory McIlroy, and Justin Rose. And speaking of the winner of the Grand Slam, he met the media earlier today.
You said last week that it wasn't a necessity to win again before the Ryder Cup. Now that you have, how much of this week is, building on that win? How much of it is preparing your game for the Ryder Cup? And how much of it is sort of, spending time with your teammates as well this week?
I think it's probably a blend of all of those. I think there's still some things in my game that I want to tidy up. I think there's always things in my game that I want to tidy up regardless of what I've just won or what I've, you're always trying to find ways to see if you can get better. But also I think it's important this week to put in a good performance because that'll give me confidence going into the Ryder Cup. It will also hopefully provide me with more of a cushion in the race to Dubai going into the back end of the year. And then, spending some time with teammates, whether that's, tonight we have a dinner or, depending on what the pairings are for the next, for Thursday, Friday, I'll probably get to spend some time with a couple of them on the golf course. So I think it's a bit of everything, but first and foremost, I want to play well because confidence-wise, I want to be in the right state of mind going into the Ryder Cup. And then I also, I think it's another good week and a good opportunity to add to the win column, but, give myself that cushion looking towards the end of the year in the race to Dubai.
Paige, Rory coming off another strong performance and a win over the weekend. Now we're at Wentworth. What do you notice about his game and how he might play this week?
Well, first, I want to comment on the fact that he was talking about these incremental things that he's been working on his game. He kind of never feels satisfied, at least it appears that way. And I want to point out the fact that he did put new wedges in his bag last week. So he's continuing that quest for trying to find the best combination of his golf game, golf swing, golf equipment. And I love to hear that from the world number two. The other thing that he talked about is the confidence that he's looking forward to getting as he leads into this Ryder Cup. Of course, last week, again, not just enough to win in Ireland, but looking forward to playing well here. And part of it has to do with the fact that he has great results here. But it's been an evolution. He hasn't always played this tournament well, this golf course well. And while there has been some date changes over the years, and maybe that's part of the contributing factor, it's impressive to see the turnaround. The first 6 times that he played this event, he was 19 over par over the course of those 6 times he played it. 3 of those were missed cuts, only 1 top 10. But the last 7 times he's played, that includes a win, he's been 80 under par. Quite the turnaround, nearly a 4-shot difference per round in his recent play here. So obviously a place that he has a lot of confidence coming into. And you combine that with the confidence of the recent form, Damon, and I think there's a recipe that you may see Rory McIlroy again contending this week once again.
Yeah, victory in 2014 and runner-up finishes to Shane Lowry, Billy Horschel, and Francesco Molinari. And, of course, Rory will be the linchpin of this European Ryder Cup team as we take a look at the players who will represent Team Europe. And it's nearly the exact same team, with the exception you got Rasmus Højgaard instead of his twin brother Nikolai, who was with this team in Rome back in 2023. It was a 16.5, 11.5 victory for Team Europe. Let's hear from some of the leaders for Team Europe.
It would obviously be great to bring the Ryder Cup back to these shores. And look, we know how difficult it's going to be. Like, we're under no illusion. I have complete confidence in Luke and his vice captains and the team that they've put together. And I keep saying this, we have a massive opportunity to do something that not a lot of Ryder Cup teams say that they've done. I've been lucky enough to be part of one Ryder Cup team that won away. We've got a lot of people within that team, whether they're myself and Justin Rose that are playing, but then obviously you've got Francesco and Luke on a vice captain side that were there, that played. So we have experience in knowing what it takes. But I think we all know it's going to be very, very difficult. And you're not just playing the 12 American golfers. You're also trying to get past the crowd, and that's the same thing that they feel when they come here and play in Europe. So it definitely gives you a bit of an inbuilt advantage to start the week, and that's something that we're going to have to overcome.
I think that is the nature of the Ryder Cup, and that's what makes the Ryder Cup so special, is that it does sort of transcend golf a little bit. It sort of becomes a global sporting event. So I think rightfully so that it's talked about that way for the build-up. It's once every 2 years, as we all know, and there's a lot of anticipation for it. And I feel like even for me as a player, it's sort of a month-long process. The moment I got picked to play in Rome, it was Ryder Cup week. And that like I've said before, every meal, every workout, every practice session had the Ryder Cup in mind. Of course, we don't know exactly the environment in Bethpage, other than it's going to be something we've never faced before. So it's hard to prepare for that. And this is our last chance to kind of put a scorecard in the hand and prepare and go through those sort of mental checklists that make you feel more comfortable in the heat of competition. So this is a very important tournament, but at the same time, it's the BMW PGA Championship, one that I ideally love to win. So
I think every Ryder Cup that you play, right at the end of it, you're all like, how good would it be if let's just keep the team and let's just go again. And you always say that without really obviously don't mean it because it never happens. But this time, yeah, to have us all together, to have that experience, to have the team connection that we had last time moving on to this one, I think, hopefully it will only be, serve as a good thing for us, serve as an advantage. I'm excited to be with all the guys. And I think of course, every time the team's set, you couldn't ask for a better 12 guys, and we're just all ready to go into that together and have another pop at trying to get the Ryder Cup.